My husband Lionel has a dream of getting rich fast. He is buying and selling cryptocurrency, trying to make money. But his strategy doesn't work and he always loses what he invested. I love spending money and I cherish the idea of winning a lottery one day. I buy lottery tickets each month. What will happen if I win $1 million? I know Lionel won't be too happy about it. But if I get such a big sum, I will tell him, "Stop being jealous, my dear, half of the money is yours." I just moved to Germany. This is clearly a country for cars. The highway is called Autobahn and these are excellent roads for high-speed car travel. Most Germans have a garage and some families even own several cars. But not all is perfect in this country. Most Germans know that in the inner cities there is no free parking. If you are looking for a free parking space where you are also allowed to, you might drive around for hours until you find one. Parking garages can be very expensive, especially if you need one for a whole day or even long term. People who live in the city often need to apply for a resident parking card. In this country, every resident needs to be registered with the authorities, which can be a good or a very bad thing. Those who cannot get a residence parking card but need to park their car in the centers have to leave their car on the fringes of the city and use public transportation. Recently Maria has gained some weight. Every morning she weighs herself on a scale. Yesterday the scale hit at over 200 pounds, almost to the limit. She feels a little ashamed of herself, especially since everyone else in her family is rather slim. For Christmas she expects all of her family to come for a visit. Her parents and siblings are worried about her weight problem. Maria has told them not to worry because she is working on a new diet plan which she has received from a good friend. Simply put, her new diet consists of new cooking recipes. Her family encourages her to keep the diet consistently. When Christmas finally arrives, she gets into an argument with her parents. They accuse her of not keeping her diet since they cannot tell if Maria has lost or gained weight. About a month later, Maria sends her family photos of herself. The pictures show the scale at her feet. Amazingly, she weighs only 120 pounds. All of her family congratulates her on what a wonderful job she had done. However, Maria has a secret. For the photo shoot, she has manipulated the scale and just turned it back a little.
Once upon a time, there was a king who ruled a prosperous country. One day, he went for a trip to some distant areas of his country. When he was back to his palace, he complained that his feet were very painful, because it was the first time that he went for such a long trip, and the road that he went through was very rough and stony. He then ordered his people to cover every road of the entire country with leather. Definitely, this would need thousands of cows' skin, and would cost a huge amount of money. Then one of his wise servants dared himself to tell the king, "Why do you have to spend that unnecessary amount of money? Why don't you just cut a little piece of leather to cover your feet?" The king was surprised, but he later agreed to his suggestion to make a shoe for himself. There is actually a valuable lesson of life in this story. To make this world a happy place to live, you better change yourself, your heart, and not the world.
There was a man in Isfahan who used to beat his wife, but unfortunately she succumbed to his beating, though he had not intended to kill her. But when she was dead he became fearful of her relatives. In a state of anxiety he came out of his house and met an acquaintance to whom he posed his problem. The friend told him to invite a young man to his house and behead him and put the severed head next to the wife's corpse. Then he would tell the wife's relatives that he had found them together in bed and was unable to control his ire, and slew them both. The man liked the idea and sat at the doorway in anticipation of a young man. After some time a handsome youth passed by his house. He invited him inside and beheaded him. Then he summoned the wife's relatives and told them the fictitious story. They were satisfied, but the person who had devised this plan had a teenage son who did not reach home that day. The man was worried, and when the son failed to turn up he came to the house of the one whom he had offered evil advice and asked him if he carried out the plan suggested by him. "Yes," said he, and took him near the dead bodies. He was shocked when he saw that the youth he had killed was his own son. His evil advice caused the death of his own son. The moral of this story is that one who digs a pit for others falls into it himself. History is replete with such incidents. According to Tafsir al-Mizan, the following saying was common among the Arabs: one who digs a hole for his brother, Allah throws him headlong into it. A similar proverb is present in Persian also: do not do evil to anyone, the same evil will turn towards you. Reference: Greater Sins Volume 3, English, by Ayatollah Dastagab Shirazi. I was parked in front of the mall wiping off my car. I had just come from the car wash and was waiting for my wife to get out of work. Coming my way from across the parking lot was what society would consider a bum. From the looks of him, he had no car, no home, no clean clothes, and no money. There are times when you feel generous, but there are other times that you just don't want to be bothered. This was one of those don't want to be bothered times. I hope he doesn't ask me for any money, I thought. He didn't. He came and sat on the curb in front of the bus stop, but he didn't look like he could have enough money to even ride the bus. After a few minutes he spoke. "That's a very pretty car," he said. He was ragged, but he had an air of dignity around him. His scraggly blonde beard keeps more than his face warm. I said, "Thanks," and continued wiping off my car. He sat there quietly as I worked. The expected plea for money never came. As the silence between us widened, something inside said, "Ask him if he needs any help." I was sure that he would say, yes, but I held true to the inner voice. "Do you need any help?" I asked. He answered in 3 simple but profound words that I shall never forget. We often look for wisdom in great men and women. We expect it from those of higher learning and accomplishments. I expected nothing but an outstretched grimy hand. He spoke the 3 words that shook me. "Don't we all?" he said. I was feeling high and mighty, successful and important, above a bum in the street, until those 3 words hit me like a 12-gauge shotgun. Don't we all? I needed help. Maybe not for bus fare or a place to sleep, but I needed help. I reached in my wallet and gave him not only enough for bus fare, but enough to get a warm meal and shelter for the day. Those 3 little words still ring true. No matter how much you have, no matter how much you have accomplished, you need help too. No matter how little you have, no matter how loaded you are with problems, even without money or a place to sleep, you can give help. Even if it's just a compliment, you can give that. You never know when you may see someone that appears to have it all. They are waiting on you to give them what they don't have. A different perspective on life, a glimpse at something beautiful, a respite from daily chaos, that only you through a torn world can see. Maybe the man was just a homeless stranger wandering the streets. Maybe he was more than that. Maybe he was sent by a power that is great and wise, to messenger to a soul too comfortable in themselves. Maybe God looked down, called an angel, dressed him like a bum, and then said, "Go messenger to that man cleaning the car, that man needs help." Don't we all? Even a smile can be charity. Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. A lady in a faded gingham dress and her husband, dressed in a homespun threadbare suit, stepped off the train in Boston and walked timidly without an appointment into the Harvard University president's outer office. The secretary could tell in a moment that such backwoods, country hicks had no business at Harvard and probably didn't even deserve to be in Cambridge. "We want to see the president," the man said softly. "He'll be busy all day," the secretary snapped. "We'll wait," the lady replied. For hours the secretary ignored them, hoping that the couple would finally become discouraged and go away. They didn't, and the secretary grew frustrated and finally decided to disturb the president, even though it was a chore she always regretted. "Maybe if you see them for a few minutes, they'll leave," she said to him. He sighed in exasperation and nodded. Someone of his importance obviously didn't have the time to spend with them, but he detested gingham dresses and homespun suits cluttering up his outer office. The president, stern-faced and with dignity, strutted toward the couple. The lady told him, "We had a son who attended Harvard for 1 year. He loved Harvard. He was happy here. But about a year ago, he was accidentally killed. My husband and I would like to erect a memorial to him, somewhere on campus." The president wasn't touched. He was shocked. "Madam," he said, gruffly, "we can't put up a statue for every person who attended Harvard and died. If we did, this place would look like a cemetery. Oh, no, the lady explained quickly. We don't want to erect a statue. We thought we would like to give a building to Harvard. The president rolled his eyes. He glanced at the gingham dress and homespun suit, and then exclaimed, "A building? Do you have any earthly idea how much a building costs? We have over $7.5 million in the physical buildings here at Harvard." For a moment the lady was silent. The president was pleased. Maybe he could get rid of them now. The lady turned to her husband and said quietly, "Is that all it costs to start a university? Why don't we just start our own?" Her husband nodded. The president's face wilted in confusion and bewilderment. Mr. and Mrs. Leland Stanford got up and walked away, traveling to Palo Alto, California, where they established a university that bears their name, Stanford University, a memorial to a son that Harvard no longer cared about. You can easily judge the character of others by how they treat those who they think can do nothing.
Last year I divorced my husband. My former husband is an alcoholic and cannot support his family. Fortunately, the children are already working, but still, they need financial support once in a while. I am meeting other divorced mothers at weekly meetups. Often we do excursions or share leisure activities. Some of my divorced friends will marry again, as it happens quite a lot. I noticed, if people stay alone too long, they become often alcoholics themselves. I have said goodbye not only to my husband but also to alcohol. I am on the best way to master my life anew. One morning we found a dead bird lying in front of our door. It looked like someone placed it there. I told my mother, "I think our cat Mika did this." My mother answered, "That's nature, we must not interfere." I disagreed. "That's dangerous." "Why?" "The dead bird carries bacteria. Mika will bring those bacteria into our house." "You are right," said my mother, concerned. My mother had to make a decision. She took the cat into the house. After that I never saw Mika again. Fernando has a Spanish restaurant in Tokyo. The restaurant is part of a large house where he also lives. Behind the house is a large, wild garden. One night, when Fernando just wants to close his restaurant, guests came in late. His Japanese wife works in the kitchen. She wonders why her husband wants to serve customers so late. "Why do you still want to serve guests?" she asks. "It's late and I'll never get out of the kitchen again." "The guests have already ordered wine," says Fernando. "Plus, we still have pigeon meat in the fridge. So I told the guests tonight that I only have pigeon." My family loves to buy fresh products from local farms. That's why we all go on Saturdays to the farmers market. My husband is a hobby chef, and he only buys vegetables at the market. Our favorite stand is at the end of the market where we can also buy fresh herbs. "Good morning, Lisa and Harry, so nice to see you again." "Good morning, Bill. What is the freshest thing you have today?" "Harry, you know that all my products are fresh, everything has just arrived directly from the eco farm." "So, from all the tables and stalls here, you deliver them here first?" "That's right. I am here at the entrance of the market, that's why my tables come first." "Okay, Bill, then we will have 2 pounds of tomatoes, and about 3 pounds of potatoes. And also a bundle of carrots, please." "Anything else?" "Do you also sell figs?" "No, they don't grow around here." "Okay, how much do I owe you?" "That's $6 total." Unlike in the US, in many European countries a customer can just enter a restaurant and choose an available seat where you feel comfortable. However, in more upscale restaurants most often there are no menus on the table, so you would have to ask the waiter to bring you one. The waiters usually wear a white shirt and black trousers. They also carry a little notebook to notate orders. Often a conversation between a customer and a waiter follows this pattern. "Waiter, good evening, have you already found something that you would like to order?" Customer, "I will take a schnitzel and a salad, number 5 on the menu." Waiter, "That's okay. What would you like to drink?" Customer, "Just mineral water." Waiter, "With or without gas?" Customer, Still water, with little gas. Waiter, so you want a salad, a schnitzel and a mineral water with little gas, correct? The customer nods. After the meal, the customer asks, "Bill please." A tip is always voluntary and in most countries is not included in the bill. Last week I rode a bike to the university. There were 2 bicycle paths on the road. On the opposite side was a young girl. She looked very beautiful. She rode with me parallel in one direction. Suddenly she stopped and yelled at me, "You're driving on the wrong side." We both stopped. She came closer. "Don't you know the traffic rules?" she asked me. I said, "I just wanted to save time." She replied, "You don't save time if you hurt someone. An accident could damage your bike. You could end up in the hospital. You have to take your time. Accidents happen every day because people don't have time. Do you want to get hurt as well?" I then ask her, "Are you married?"
In 1883, a creative engineer named Jean Roebling was inspired by an idea to build a spectacular bridge connecting New York with the Long Island. However, bridge building experts throughout the world thought that this was an impossible feat and told Roebling to forget the idea. It just could not be done. It was not practical. It had never been done before. Roebling could not ignore the vision he had in his mind of this bridge. He thought about it all the time and he knew deep in his heart that it could be done. He just had to share the dream with someone else. After much discussion and persuasion, he managed to convince his son Washington, an up-and-coming engineer, that the bridge in fact could be built. Working together for the first time, the father and son developed concepts of how it could be accomplished and how the obstacles could be overcome. With great excitement and inspiration, and the headiness of a wild challenge before them, they hired their crew and began to build their dream bridge. The project started well, but when it was only a few months underway, a tragic accident on the site took the life of John Roebling. Washington was injured and left with a certain amount of brain damage, which resulted in him not being able to walk or talk or even move. We told them so. Crazy men and their crazy dreams. It's foolish to chase wild visions. Everyone had a negative comment to make and felt that the project should be scrapped since the Roeblings were the only ones who knew how the bridge could be built. In spite of his handicap, Washington was never discouraged and still had a burning desire to complete the bridge, and his mind was still as sharp as ever. He tried to inspire and pass on his enthusiasm to some of his friends, but they were too daunted by the task. As he lay on his bed in his hospital room, with the sunlight streaming through the windows, a gentle breeze blew the flimsy white curtains apart and he was able to see the sky and the tops of the trees outside for just a moment. It seemed that there was a message for him not to give up. Suddenly an idea hit him. All he could do was move one finger, and he decided to make the best use of it. By moving this, he slowly developed a code of communication with his wife. He touched his wife's arm with that finger, indicating to her that he wanted her to call the engineers again. Then he used the same method of tapping her arm to tell the engineers what to do. It seemed foolish, but the project was underway again. For 13 years Washington tapped out his instructions with his finger on his wife's arm, until the bridge was finally completed. Today the spectacular Brooklyn Bridge stands in all its glory as a tribute to the triumph of one man's indomitable spirit and his determination not to be defeated by circumstances. It is also a tribute to the engineers and their teamwork, and to their faith in a man who was considered mad by half the world. It stands too as a tangible monument to the love and devotion of his wife, who for 13 long years patiently decoded the messages of her husband and told the engineers what to do. Perhaps this is one of the best examples of a never say die attitude that overcomes a terrible physical handicap and achieves an impossible goal. Often when we face obstacles in our day-to-day life, our hurdles seem very small in comparison to what many others have to face. The Brooklyn Bridge shows us that dreams that seem impossible can be realized with determination and persistence, no matter what the odds are. Even the most distant dream can be realized with determination and persistence. Books written by Agatha Christie are very popular among readers all over the world. Now considered Queen of Mystery, Agatha Christie is known as the author of detective novels, which capture the reader's attention from the beginning till the very end. One of her most popular novels is Murder on the Orient Express, featuring Inspector Hercule Poirot. Poirot is a middle-aged little man with enormous mustaches, who has a special gift for solving crimes. The story takes place on the Orient Express train, which has stopped because of heavy snowfall. Poirot, who is on the train traveling home to London, is asked to help solve a murder of a passenger. Using his brain and logic, Poirot miraculously solves an impossible criminal case. The story keeps the readers thrilled and guessing to the end. Murder on the Orient Express is referred to as the most widely read mystery of all time, and has been adapted into movies many times. When asked about Agatha Christie's fiction, many readers also remember Miss Marple, an amateur consulting detective, who appears in many of the short stories. Miss Marple is a clever elderly woman who lives in the village of St. Mary Mead. She never married and has no close relatives, except for her nephew Raymond. The old lady has never worked for a living, but demonstrates a remarkably thorough education, including some art courses that involve the study of human anatomy. Miss Marple solves difficult crimes thanks to her shrewd intelligence, often portrayed sitting in her chair by the fireside. It was Sunday yesterday. I woke up late, at 11 o'clock. I had breakfast and went for a walk with my dog. When I returned home, I made a tasty lunch for myself. I stayed at home in the evening. I played computer games. Then my aunt phoned me and invited me to her birthday party. It was a surprise for me. My aunt was an actress in the past and she has many celebrity friends. I was happy with the invitation.
My parents don't let me go out until I have done all my daily duties. They say, discipline is important for your future. You must clean your room, take the dog for a walk and do your homework. I have done all this and I have just prepared lunch for my younger sister. Oh, I haven't washed the dishes yet. I need to wash the dishes. I always do what they say. I think they should be more tolerant to me.
The little girl was thirsty. She wanted something to drink. She opened the refrigerator. She looked inside. She saw milk. She saw soda. She saw orange juice. She saw beer. She wondered what beer tasted like. Her daddy drank beer every day. Beer must be good. If daddy likes it, it must taste good. She grabbed a can of beer. She opened the beer. She smelled it. She couldn't smell anything. She swallowed some. Yuck, she said. The beer was horrible. How could daddy drink that stuff? She put the can back into the refrigerator. Daddy could finish it when he got home. She grabbed the milk. She poured some into a glass. She added chocolate syrup to the milk. She stirred the milk. Now she had chocolate milk. She loved chocolate milk. Poor daddy, she thought. He likes beer more than chocolate milk.
A young man was getting ready to graduate from college. For many months, he had admired a beautiful sports car in a dealer's showroom, and knowing his father could well afford it, he told him that was all he wanted. As graduation day approached, the young man awaited signs that his father had purchased the car. Finally, on the morning of his graduation, his father called him into his private study. His father told him how proud he was to have such a fine son, and told him how much he loved him. He handed his son a beautifully wrapped gift box. Curious, but somewhat disappointed, the young man opened the box and found a lovely, leather-bound Bible, with the young man's name embossed in gold. Angry, he raised his voice to his father and said, "With all your money, you give me a Bible?" and stormed out of the house, leaving the Bible. Many years passed, and the young man was very successful in business. He had a beautiful home and wonderful family, but realized his father was very old, and thought perhaps he should go to him. He had not seen him since that graduation day. Before he could make arrangements, he received a telegram telling him his father had passed away, and willed all of his possessions to his son. He needed to come home immediately, and take care of things. When he arrived at his father's house, sudden sadness and regret filled his heart. He began to search through his father's important papers, and saw the still new Bible, just as he had left it years ago. With tears, he opened the Bible and began to turn the pages. And as he did, a car key dropped from the back of the Bible. It had a tag with the dealer's name, the same dealer who had the sports car he had desired. On the tag was the date of his graduation, and the words paid in full. How many times do we miss Spirit's blessings and answers to our prayers because they do not arrive exactly as we have expected?